Hello, everybody. Well, I hope everybody's having a really great day. I wanted to turn the camera on and respond to a fascinating question that I received via email. The person, I contacted this person and asked if I could read their email or part of it, the part that had this one question in, on video in order to, as basically a launching point for my own response, and I received the affirmative. So here we go. Um, what do you do with personal, spiritual, and numinal experience or evidence? What do you do with this type of evidence? It goes on to say, I have personally experienced what would be called a spiritual moment. The experience itself was utterly overwhelming, totally indescribable, and absolutely neutral. Indeed, it was probably neutral precisely because it was so intellectually overwhelming. Only afterward, when I was trying to make sense of the experience, did I realize that I kept trying to make the blank slate of the experience conform to certain cultural and religious concepts. I believe religion takes advantage of this empty space, his quotes, by telling those who have had these experiences what they mean, by presenting ready answers to those desperate for something can be easily grasped, which can be grasped easily. I think religious dogma, iconography, etc. are mapped onto these experiences after the fact. Sometimes immediately after the fact for those heavily influenced by such ideas. Yes, I definitely agree with that. On the other side of the coin, however, we have science. A scientist would likely say that I had some sort of psychological, physiological episode, and indeed I may have. I tend not to think so, however, as I have no history of such events. I've not had one since, and I was utterly lucid during the whole experience. The event was wholly phenomenological, in other words, personally experienced and completely outside of my control. I have no evidence to show, and I cannot reproduce the results. Dismissing personally experienced evidence because it is unable to be reproduced and peer-reviewed seems similarly dogmatic as letting religion hijack your experience. Interesting point there, huh? Obviously, I could not use the experience to try to convince others of anything since I have nothing concrete to offer them. Oh, I know that feeling. But that still leaves me with my experience. I have struggled with this for years. In the end, I am forced to accept the experience as genuine, whatever that means, in brackets there. I have no reason to believe I was having abnormal brain chemistry or a powerful psychological break. Anyways, back to the main question. If you want to maintain a purely atheistic, scientific, materialistic worldview, how do you deal with what I call private evidence? Nice term there, private evidence. Well, what a great what a great question, and couched in such beautiful language, and the sharing of a personal experience that, although the details are not expressed, we don't, and it's okay, we don't need it. It's really the point of how that is dealt with, how that experience is dealt with in the afters. That's the main thing. What a great thing to share. Let me go ahead and offer my response. First of all, let me lay the foundation down by saying that individually, I do not trust myself. I believe that I am capable of lying to myself and misleading myself. Jangling sparkly things in one direction to basically distract me away from what may in fact be happening. And I don't even need to look very far back. I can't say that my age has offered any remedy to that. I only have to look back to last month for a nice example of that, and I'll give you one, maybe two examples before we go on. Last month, if you're familiar with my YouTube Bullet Train channel, I encountered a rusting heap of a car out in the woods at the end of a deserted, abandoned road, been sitting out there for 20 years or so, and I was convinced that there was a murder scene. It was a murder scene. I saw a blood-stained, what seemed to be a blood-stained seat where someone seemed to have been shot. It looked so much like it, and I actually turned this into the police, and they came up and later told me that they investigated, told me that it wasn't blood. In fact, what I saw was rust, although they agreed it certainly looked like a crime scene. Now, I was so taken in by my conviction that what I had seen was a crime scene that I let myself run free with the thing, and I have the experience, and I never want to forget this experience because it really makes me realize how vulnerable I am to experience and conclusion, and how dangerous it is to make conclusions without really having a good basis for belief. I not only did I believe that a murder scene had occurred, I had convinced myself, my body had a physiological reaction. I'm sure that the adrenaline was pumping, my heart rate was moving. I could feel my body tensing up and ready for the fight and flight thing, as though the murderer was there. The excitement, the adrenaline, the whole thing. I even almost had a near spiritual experience as a pair of crows flew over the car just after I realized I had this moment of realizing, hey, this is a crime scene, cawing like crazy, caw, caw, caw. And I had this moment. I was thinking, are you telling? It's like the rainbow guy. What does it mean? Are they telling? Are the crows? Are the crows the harbingers of doom? Are you telling me that this really is a crime scene? Are you connected to the spirit somehow? This really happened to me last month. I didn't go into it in that kind of detail with anybody, but I had that experience, and I left. I made a video on my way out. I didn't show the crime scene until later, after I learned from the police that it wasn't a crime scene. I made a video going out, and I stated in the video that I was 99.9% certain, certain as a person could possibly be, that a murder had occurred in that car. It's just one example. I could list example after example of near certain experiences in my life that have later been proven to be otherwise, and situations where I've run with that and to dead end alleys, to dark dangerous places in the mind where I begin to accept dogma, accept dogma being the digested consideration of others, and what they regurgitate out as truth. What imagery! And accepting that, swallowing that down, saying, you have done the hard work of figuring it out, I'll just accept it. And I know where that goes. If I don't trust myself, that's why I hardly trust others. So, well, except my wife. I do trust my wife and my daughter. But so I have that. I don't trust myself. So where do I go from there? How would I deal with an experience like was described in this email? Well, don't have to go very far back either as well to address something just like that. Last year, I was hiking in the woods here in Japan, and I documented this on video. My experience here. It's a video titled "The Thing I Saw in the Woods." I think it's over. I think it might be on this channel or the YouTube Bullet Train. But deep in the woods at the end of way off. I wasn't even on the trail anymore. This abandoned mountain trail, from centuries back, and I had completely lost the trail. It had disappeared, and I was deep in the woods all by myself, way the heck up in the nowhere. And I encountered what the Japanese call a yokai, which would basically be it would appear to be a supernatural. Supernatural simply means something maybe unidentified, unclassified, maybe beyond the time and space that we understand. Something in the woods is this dark shape. I won't go into too much detail again because I covered it before, but this dark shape about this big, maybe about this big, this looked like a piece of cardboard cutout with a dark center in the middle, like a big eye, came flying at me through the woods, seemingly bouncing off the bamboo, although seemingly not touching or making a sound, and halted about 20 feet away, hovered above there, looking at me. I got the clearest look you can imagine of this thing before it kind of disappeared. Off it went. I chased after it. It was gone. It disappeared without a sight. The whole thing was captured on video because I was making a vlog at the time when the thing came, and I go, wow, there it is. What the heck is that? I came back, and my heart, similar to the car thing, my heart was beating. The whole biological, psychological cascade of results happened. Now, how did I handle that situation? Well, I handled it similar to the way the person who sent me the email, did. I take that circumstance, I describe it as the thing I saw in the woods. I saw something, I describe it just as I did to you now. If people ask me in more details, I'm happy to give it, but that's about all there is. When they say what it was it was a monster? Was it a spirit? Was it a ghost? And my answer is, I have no idea what it was. It was about this big, black in the center, ragged around the edge. It moved without sound. It moved incredibly fast. It looked at for a minute. It was gone. That's all I know. So that's all I can do. I can't anything beyond that. And I don't even trust that. I don't even trust that. I mean, I won't go into too much detail, but I had this experience when I was a youth where I thought I saw Bigfoot, and I was convinced I saw Bigfoot. I went on for a decade convinced I saw Bigfoot, when this other part of my brain was telling me, you're lying, Kurt. You did not see Bigfoot. And I had this kind of a battle going on, and it took me it wasn't until I was a mature man that I was finally able to get this one to win out and tell that one to go away, and I knew that from the beginning. So I don't trust myself one bit, and that's why I deal with the experience the same way that the writer of the question did. So that leads me to the next thing. What would happen if I had a more dramatic experience? Let's say I'm out in the woods and not just a little cardboard thing with an eye flying around shows up, but what if something claiming to be God appeared, whether in person or as a burning bush or something like that? Forgive me for making an analogizing myself in any way with biblical figures, but it's a good example to use. What would happen if that happened? Well, if I was Moses, for example, and the bush appeared, well, I am the Lord God, and I'm going to give you this thing, and if the commandments, if the tablets appeared, that would be pretty interesting. But even that, I mean, we all know about Joseph Smith and the little glass and the stuff like that. So even having the tablets that mysteriously take back to heaven, I mean, whatever happened to those tablets? That isn't enough. But let's get back. I digress. If the burning bush appeared to me, if I was Moses, that's a good way to do it. If I was Moses, and the burning bush appeared, I would enlist. I wouldn't. If it just happened that one time, no matter how profound the message was, I would come back. I would turn on my Moses. Assuming Moses had a laptop, I would turn on the camera and I would vlog about it. I would say I was up in the mountains. A burning bush appeared. Tablets appeared. I came down from here. They are. Maybe I've still got the tablets. Who knows if they're going to believe me. This is what happened. Here's the message from God. Do these things. I would do it. I mean, I would say I saw these things. I wouldn't say from God. I would say I got this message from this thing up there. This is what happened to me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was God. This is the important part. In case I'm sure you don't need me to tell you when the important part is, but this is the important part. I wouldn't say it's from God. I would say it's from something that claims it's God, and it gave me these tablets. Here they are. It's got these messages. Now you know as much as me. That's all I would do. Sure, I would talk about it later, but I would always couch it with the language of uncertainty and the language of fact, and in the verbiage of fact. I would take care to recite the story exactly as it had happened. Even then, I would tell people I don't trust what I saw. I could have been hallucinating. But if I wanted to go further than that, let's say that this burning bush would actually have a dialogue with me, and it could actually listen to what I was saying and maybe even respond. What would I say to it? I would say, okay, listen, burning bush, you've given me these tablets. You've got these messages on you. Say this is really important. We've got to do. Before I take any action, I need you to do three things for me, and I apologize for for being so bold as to request a favor of what may be God. But three things, and then if you can do these things, I'm going to be able to take your message with greater earnestness to whatever audience I can. The three things are: one, it's going to involve 3 days, so 4 in total. Today, you came and visited me. I'm going to come back here tomorrow at the same time in the same place. And if you appear to me again tomorrow and reveal yourself to me, that will be quite satisfactory to my curiosity. On the third day, I'm going to send a close friend of mine, someone who I really, really trust. I'm not going to tell them what's going to be here, and I'm going to ask them to come here at the same place at the same time. Give them my Moses has. Within the time of Moses, a GPS. I say, here, give him my GPS. Here's the coordinates, the Google Map coordinates. Come here, and if he comes back and tells me someone I trust, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, you can tell me whatever you saw. I won't think you're nuts. And if he comes back and tells me that he saw you and that you told him the same message, him or her, that'll be wow. Wow, amazing. On the next day, the final day, the 4 days total, 3 days from today, I'm going to send someone who is not an enemy, but not necessarily a friend. Someone who's a colleague, someone whom I trust to tell me I'm full of crap. Someone whom I trust who doubt me, and basically someone whose reasoning and methodology of thought I believe are sound. I'm going to send that person up here. Someone basically whom I hope will discredit me if they're capable, when they are capable of doing it and without reservation. I'm going to send them up here as well, and if they come back and tell me what happened here, then I will be quite astonished. This hypothesis that you are real, that you are a true thing, will go more along strong, become something much stronger than a mere hypothesis. I will be pretty convinced that you are here and you are talking, and that you really are. These tablets that you've given me are genuine. I won't be convinced that you're God because I won't know what you are. You are something claiming to be God, and I will go on the internet and I will vlog on my channel, and I will, with greater energy and determination, say that there is something on the mountain that at least 4 times appeared, once, twice to myself, again to my friend, again to my colleague, in the same manner, and gave the same message, and that is pretty convincing evidence that that thing is real. It claims to be God, and here is the message that it gives. It's up to you then, out there, to decide what to do, and hopefully those who listen will have the same type of skepticism I have. And I think that then, my friend, the person who asked me the question, that is how I would handle a phenomenon like that. If it was just a ghost that I saw flying by that wouldn't interact with me or anything like that, I would treat it no differently than you and I have already treated our respective experiences. If it was something that could engage me, something that occurred with regularity, seemingly regularity at a certain place, then I might be tempted to try and verify it through the methodology that I know, that I trust best, which is the scientific method: to observe, to re-observe, and to ask others, to attempt to experiment as we have, and verify or discredit our results. That's how I would do it. Well, thank you very much for this compelling question. I love stuff like this, and thank you as well to others who have been writing. A lot of great stuff coming in lately, and I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I haven't been getting responses out as quick as I should. I'm going to sign off for now and wish you all a wonderful day. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful one.